All right, we back again. It's
Back at
Guy
it.
Ronne, Guito the Great from the
Palmieri.
Greater Goal Lifestyle Network.
Palmieri over at Good Money Podcast. What's up, folks?
What's going on? What's going on? This is the Good Money Podcast, Not all money is good money, but we'll show you how to get money and live life good.
That's it. That's a fact. That's a fact. So we're back for round two.
Yes.
For my bro over here. And, one thing, man, back to school session is in full effect, right?
Yeah. That's what has been going on.
Left his iPad home. One of my sons left his iPad home. One of the school teachers called, my son wants to talk to my wife. One of his braids fell out. I'm like, oh gosh, here we go. We're back to school. It is what it is. But I tell you what, right? It's important for back to school because it literally puts a pin in the summer, right? And hopefully everybody that's watching this had a fantastic summer vacation with their family and friends. But
Definitely.
I got to tell you, over the holiday weekend, I did take a trip to Costco.
Costco's.
Yeah. I took a trip to Costco, and man, let me tell you, the amount of foot traffic that I saw, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was blown away. First of all, the parking lot, it looked like an ant colony. You ever seen like an ant colony on Discovery Channel, and you just see there's like lots of movement and lots of activity, right? It looked like that. And when I tell you, people was just snatching stuff off the shelves. It was like an orchestra of retail. And so I couldn't help but think to myself, man, I need to take a look at Costco stock. I really need to take a look at it because if anything, they definitely getting money this weekend. And if I know one thing about human behavior, once a trend starts, it tends to continue.
Yeah, see, we have it different here. We don't have Costco where I'm at, but we have Sam's Club. And it's the same thing there. In the morning time, on the weekends, it looks like a club line. You know what I mean? It'd be people waiting outside, line going out the parking lot. It's the same madness over in there too. So that's definitely something to look into. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And Costco has been a fantastic performer over the years, man. I think last I had looked at it, it was cruising around $938 a share, $940 around there, right? And for those of you viewing this, don't take that as a point of intimidation where you see a stock like Costco is $1,000, right? $950 a share. And so it's just really floating back to that concept of having ownership in companies that you patronize, right? Or
own where you shop.
Own where you shop, right? So yeah, man, I spent a good deal of money in Costco, two cart loads full of food, right? And I'll probably have to revisit them before the month's out.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. But like I said, man, something like that is simple because most everybody has families for the most part, right? And so that's who they cater to. They cater to, people who have families, children, grandparents, things of that sort. So I think with Costco, that's something to keep an eye on to see what they're going to do, because now that summer's behind us, people are going to get into the routine of shopping, right?
Shopping every week, yeah. School supplies, snacks, lunch. That's what we've been doing ourselves.
Yo, over coffee this morning, my wife looks at me, she's like, yo, this supplies list. I'm like, oh boy, we got to get to work. We got to get to work. She started mentioning that supply list. I'm like, oh boy. Most certainly, bro. Most certainly. But that's one of the concepts as far as what I wanted to cover in terms of that particular stock. Owning where you shop, because something as simple as, hey, man, I made a visit to Costco. You know what? I spent X amount of dollars. Depending on your investment goals, you could match what you spent, right? That's a simple way to take advantage of that consistent trip that you're making to Costco. It's like, listen, if I'm going to Costco and I'm spending $500, why not just buy $500 worth of stock?
Stocks, yeah.
Right? If that's within your capacity to do so. Now that back to school is in session, a lot of these retail companies like Costco, they're in full swing. I think you were mentioning to me about what's that airline company you own?
JetBlue.
Yeah.
JetBlue. Yeah, and the red on that one. Been holding it for a while. I got it at the wrong time, and I just been like, I'm not selling until I see some green.
So was that an emotional decision? You see it, you're down on it and you're like, I'm not selling until I actually get to break even?
Yeah, I guess yeah, it's emotional, and again, it goes through things that I learned in the past. A lot of times that I've sold stocks because they were red and they were going down and everything. And it was just like a panic and sold. And I saw it by selling. And then if I would have waited maybe even a year or so, that stock, came all the way up. So my thoughts, which I kind of told you, is, since it's low, maybe averaging down and, just waiting for it to come back up instead of selling it and accepting the loss. You know what I mean?
Right, right. So when you initiated that position, it was like a one-time purchase, and then it went in a different direction, and you said, I'm not doing nothing until I'm in the black?
Well, yeah, it was a one-time purchase. It went up when I should have took some profit, but I held thinking it was gonna, thinking it was coming back. Well, that was at the time the airlines were having their comeback after COVID and all of that. So I figured it was gonna go higher. And I honestly just lost track of it, you know what I mean? And it started coming down. I'm like, it'll go back up. Came down more. And I'm like, and then it got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna hold till it goes up. I'm not I'm not pressed for it.
Yeah, yeah. And let me tell you, man, saying what you just said right now makes me think of something that a friend of mine once told me. Stocks can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
the
that bears
truth.
repeating, right? So stocks can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent, right? So one of the things I want to stress to you and everybody viewing this episode is risk management, right? Meaning before, like a pilot, right? A pilot has a pre-flight checklist. Before
Gotcha.
that plane leaves the ground,
They gotta make sure everything's right.
double, triple check it, right? And listen, you don't want to be, I mean, we're talking about JetBlue, so that's a perfect analogy, right? You definitely want to make sure that you are doing your pre-trade checklist, right? So pre-trade checklist, and a simple pre-trade checklist is, all right, the stock is at X price. Where should I put my stop loss?
Yeah.
Right? If I'm managing my risk effectively, where should I put my stop loss? Where should I mitigate my risk? And a general rule of thumb, some people use 10% as a
Percent.
stop
Yep.
loss. Some people use 20, depending on your level of your level of risk tolerance. Some people use that. So there's that. And then when you put in a stop loss, you can automatically get taken out of the trade.
Yeah, that has been an issue for me a few times. Is maybe the stop loss wasn't where, the placing of it wasn't right and got taken out right before the height, you know what I mean? Right before it shoots back up. So
Right.
sometimes after that, a few times, I'm like, you know what? This stop loss ain't working for me. And then fall into the situation I am currently now with JetBlue. So it's also really being able to read the charts like you were showing me with another stock we talked about earlier with OKE, just basically seeing where the support and resistance changes and knowing. I think it's better to set your stop loss based on those sometimes than your own, you know what I mean? Because like I said, there's been a lot of times where if I followed the resistance, I probably would have been able to stay into the stock to see some kind of gains instead of
Yes.
coming out with a loss.
Yeah, there's a lot of tools, right, that you can use to approach the market. And so a lot of people just look at the actual stock price, right? Meaning like you pull up a ticker and you just look at the stock price and you're like, all right, this thing is in One Oak's case, this thing is $74 a share. But looking at a chart, like you mentioned, is a different way to look at a stock because you're looking at historical pricing based on time frames,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And so,
Patterns.
yeah, well, the patterns present themselves through different time frames. And like for instance, right, you're talking from One Oak from a position of investment long term. So if that's the case, you wouldn't look at a 15-minute time frame on One Oak because there's too much noise. It doesn't fit with your goals, right? In terms of, hey, I want to invest in this thing for the long term. When I looked at it from the time frame of on a monthly basis because I need to see where it's been historical.
I put it down when I got into it. When I look at it even now, I go 5 years and then break it down from 5 years to the yearly to the monthly. That's usually with my long holds because I keep it in my mind a 5-year hold. And that's what I usually base it off, from 5 to 1 to monthly. And I try to find, the support, the resistance, and then try to base it off of that. Like I told you before, with One Oak, I keep a certain amount of shares that I hold. And every time it hits a low or starts going, a nice distance from the 52 high, I buy some more. And then I wait till it goes up to that high. And whatever I have over my allocated amount of shares that I want to keep for the long hold, I sell that and I just take that profit, either put it to the side to buy something else. Or like I said, that was my Euro money to go to Italy this summer. You know what I mean? So I took that out. Family had nice wad of cash to spend in Italy without worrying about, you know what I mean? So that's kind of how I work that stock.
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like you're trimming fruit off of a tree when it's time to harvest.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like you got this tree, which bears a fruit, money, right? But you got this tree, One Oak. It's the One Oak tree. And on a seasonal basis, right, you just go out with your farmer's gear on and you just trim with your basket and you hop on a plane and enjoy your fruit.
Yep, every spring.
Makes perfect sense.
Every spring. Like clockwork, too.
Yeah, man. Listen, again, that approach is good. And some people, it's tough, man. It's like some people want that immediate pop. They want that immediate pop. But the thing is like I said, you can't control how the ocean ebbs and flows. So when you try to force something, that's typically when a disaster happens, right? Because when you literally try to force a trade to work or you revenge trade, right? So you're definitely taking the right approach with the One Oak. And again, in my opinion, and let me just put this disclaimer out there. None of this information is considered to be financial advice. If you need financial advice, you should have a conversation with your licensed CPA, investment advisor, your fiduciary of choice, right? This is just myself and Guy having a conversation. That's it. All right, now we got the disclaimer out the way.
Exactly.
Yeah. But circling back to JetBlue, that one, man, did you see Spirit Airlines file bankruptcy twice in 1 year?
Yeah.
So it's hard out here for these airlines, right?
I know. It definitely has been.
But I'm willing to bet that if you took a poll of 1,000 people, I'm willing to bet that people would have strong feelings for JetBlue. I'm willing to bet, right? Because their experience is a decent experience, JetBlue, right? So that being said, knowing that JetBlue is probably not going to go out of business, again, no guarantee. In your situation where you own it higher, you could sell it for a loss. That's a decision for you to make. You could sell cash secured puts and collect that premium, right? You can collect that premium, use that premium to buy more shares. Or you could just start an accumulation program where you go into your Robinhood and you just want to hit on a recurring investment basis. And they got time frames in there too, daily, weekly, where you can go in and you can buy the stock every single day. You could buy it every week, however you decide to manage your finances. But definitely waiting for it to get back to, would you say your cost base is 10?
Yeah, 10.
Yeah, waiting for it to get back there just for it to break even. You're probably going to look and say, you know what, man, I could have bought this thing at 5.
At 5.
I could have bought it at 5. And I was being stubborn. You know what I'm saying? I was being stubborn and I'm like, I'm not going to buy anymore. And then next thing you know, this thing gets back to 10 and you're like, yeah, I could have bought it at 5. Yeah. So
exactly. But yeah, it's definitely been a busy week. I know you've been busy over there too.
yeah, I've been real busy on the loan front, right? As I mentioned to you, we work with real estate investors, helping them to fund their investment properties, right? So I had a closing on Friday out in York, PA, if you're familiar
Nice.
with the area.
Yeah.
So, the guy doubled back after he closed on Friday. He's back for more. He's looking to buy another property. So, else also in York,
Yeah. The beauty of
also in York,
investors,
PA.
right?
What's that?
So that's the beauty of investors.
Yeah, 100%, man. And yeah, it's definitely been busy. Got a valuation report back on a deal I'm doing in the Bronx right now. You know, and then it's also that back to yes, it's back to school, but it's just back to business, right?
Back
So
to
because it's
business.
back to business, a lot of people who were looking at refinancing, they're getting active again. And then also interest rates. There's a lot of chatter about interest rates coming down.
Coming down. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, what are you
People are
seeing
back
out
on the
there?
market.
You're seeing activity?
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely seen activity. I know on my end, I got at least 4 loans in the pipeline right now. A lot of clients been starting to reach out. We have a few, at least 3 or 4 clients on the real estate end that we're working with. We're prepping for a close on Monday. We closed 2 last week.
Nice.
It's a blessing. We've been busy, especially on the loan front. I'm starting to get things rolling a lot.
And these are conventional, right?
Yeah, most of them's conventional. Yeah, conventional. FHA, maybe one FHA, 3 conventional.
Okay. Are you
Yeah.
seeing in terms of by popularity, you think FHA is more popular than like conventional mortgage loan products?
So I think it varies. I think where I am here now, just the climate, there's a lot of FHA. The income rate and everything here is lower. So a lot more people need the FHA. But when it comes to investors, which more of my clients are investors, they're more conventional. Most of the time have to go conventional. So for us, I'm seeing a lot more conventional than FHA, but there
Okay.
is a great deal of FHA out here. We deal mostly with investors like you as well. So we're getting a lot of conventionals. And of course, I know your favorite is the DSCR. We have one guy with one of my partners I work with very closely, another agent, Tanya, does maybe 2 or 3 every month, DSCR.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and he's loving it. I help with a lot of real estate paperwork. We haven't been able to touch it on the financing side because he has his own little circle that he deals with. But on the real estate side, it's been great. So
Nice.
we have quite a few guys like that are constantly buying. They come to us. She has a great spread of clients that buy through her, fix them up, sell through her, and the ones that are looking or need a loan, I usually do the financing on that end of it. So it's like a 1-2 we got going with that. My wife is also every client she gets, of course, I'm doing the finance on that one.
As you should.
I look at her sideways if she went somewhere else.
Yeah, 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 man. You can't have your wife as a real estate professional talking to another man as a loan officer. Where we do that at? That don't work. That don't work.
But yeah, we've been blessed. Everything's been going quite well. We've been keeping busy. So we're over here. I'm over at East Coast Capital and we're doing good over there. I gotta
That's what's up.
definitely give a shout to Jonathan Schubert over there, who's been kind of coaching me through the ways, helping me, showing me everything over there, and been, just really showing me the ropes and how to get everything right. So it's been going good over there. So
Okay.
I know you are private money more when it
Yes.
comes
Yes.
to it.
So yeah. So we're more in the private institutional lending space. We're direct, right? And so we originate our loans in house, right? So that makes for faster underwriting. Like I always tell my investors that I work with, I can go and knock on the door of a member of my credit committee, right? Because everything is in house. So I can have a conversation. The communication is very clear, it's rapid, and we push files fast as a result of that, right?
Mm.
And I mean, I like to believe that there's no one out there that can compete with us. Again, that's my opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But I would say like some of the loan programs, right? We just rolled out closed end second mortgages, right? So give you an idea, I'm doing one in Brooklyn right now. Guy owns the property, is worth 1.3. He only owes 242 on it. You know what I'm saying? It's a 3-family. He don't owe that much. And so he's looking for an additional 350,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that loan program works where we're looking at the first mortgage, right? That he has a first mortgage on it. So we're looking at that to determine the PITI, and that's principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And then we're looking at the total income, right? That's the rental income from all the units being occupied. Then we're looking at the loan amount that he's requesting and determining what the principal and interest is going to be on that. And then taking a blend of all those numbers, between the first mortgage on the PITI and the principal and interest on the proposed second mortgage, and seeing if the DSCR works.
If it works,
we just need it to be at a 1. And all that means is that for every $1 of cash flow that you're bringing in, you can support $1 of mortgage, right? So
dollar mortgage,
use easy numbers. If your mortgage is, $1,000 a month and you're bringing in $1,000 a month, then your DSCR is a 1, right? If your mortgage is $1,000 a month, but you're bringing in, $1,500, the DSCR is a 1.5. So at the beginning of the month, you have an extra 50 cents on every single dollar of extra cash flow. And so the further you are away from a 1, the better we feel.
Exactly. So you're pushing the DSCRs with a 1?
Yeah, I can go below a 1 though. I've had circumstances where I can go below a 1. I've done deals as low as a 0.5.
Wow.
And sizable ones too. We're not talking about, we're talking about $1 million plus loan on a 0.55. Where mortgage is $10,000 a month, but the market rent is only $5,500. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you satisfy that shortfall? So in a situation like that, the terms might change a little bit. It was 30-year financing that we did end up extending to that particular situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, DSCR is a great tool because, as you know, as an MLO, you know that you can only have, I think it's 8 to 10 properties on the conventional side or traditional mortgages in your personal name before they just pretty much put the brakes on you.
Brakes on it, yeah. And if you're not doing your accounting and everything right, so many people, they're not even reporting their rent. So it just works against them with a lot of the properties. So that's why I see a lot is people, their DTI gets thrown so off balance because they're not reporting the income from one rental. And they're like, well, I'm making 70 grand a year on here. And I'm like, not really. You're not making nothing because you're not reporting it. So I think there's a lot, and a lot of the stuff I'm learning being in the finance department, hence the shirt. But so usually people don't know. They feel that because they're collecting rent, they could use that to offset, another purchase because they're making money on this property. But again, if it's not shown on that tax return, there's really nothing we could do about it. Do you run into that type of problem a lot, or
no taxes, no pay stubs, no W-2s, none of that. I don't need none of that. I don't even need you to be employed. I need you to have a decent credit score, and I need equity. Either the equity is going to come from your money, from your pocket, in the form of a down payment and closing costs, or the equity is going to be sourced from the deal, from the property itself by way of a refinance, right? But yeah, no W-2s, no tax returns, no pay stubs, and we can close pretty quickly. And so what I have encountered,
that is basically for the DSCR though.
Yes.
That's basically, that's the same thing with the DSCR. It's definitely a no doc. I was talking more as on a regular conventional loan where people are looking to use income from a property to work against their DTI. You know what I mean?
I haven't personally encountered that as much because, I'm a baby in the game, man. You've been at this a little longer than me on that side of the aisle, right? So I have not encountered it as much, but what I have been able to do is I have been able to work with like bank statement loan programs. Right?
Yeah, we've done that.
So, so I'm able to overcome some hurdles with the bank statement programs.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we need to get creative, that's when collectively, me and my team, we work together to get this thing across the goalpost, right? So I would say that in terms of loan programs, the most popular with me is fix and flip and DSCR.
Got you.
Yeah,
Got you. Yeah.
DSCR, fix and flip, right? And the thing is too, on the conventional side, FA, like a qualifying for a mortgage, sometimes it could feel like death by 1,000 paper cuts, man. It's crazy. Like the amount of it's the amount of documents that they ask you for, you know. So that's why I really like the private lending space, because I
Yeah.
just don't have those hurdles that I got to deal with.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's what I tell every client when we sit down. I'm like, listen, we're going to go
Prepare
through a lot
yourself.
of paperwork. And
Prepare
once you're done
yourself.
with that, we're going to ask you for more paperwork. And once
Yes.
you're done with that, it's going to be a little bit more paperwork. So just be patient, bear with me. We're going to get through this. But
Right.
like you said, just get ready for them paper cuts. You know what I mean?
Yo, crazy. And I mean, but you know what? That's the nature of the business, right? Because the focus has to be on the ability to repay, right? So
Mm-hmm.
hence the paperwork. Because for those of you that don't know, a mortgage is an investment product that institutional investors buy, right? It's a mortgage-backed security, so they'll close the mortgage, right? You over at East Coast Capital will originate a mortgage, right? You guys originate the mortgage,
Uh-huh.
get it to the closing table, and then in essence, that mortgage is packaged up and sold as a long-term investment, right? And then based on the history of payments, it receives a grade, right? Grade A, grade B, etc. And then God forbid, knock on wood, you start missing payments, that mortgage gets sold to another servicer. It may not fetch the same kind of premium in terms of that secondary market. It may not fetch the same kind of premium as if somebody who's never missed a payment, you know? And that opens up the conversation for credit, like FICO, credit scores and things of that sort.
Yeah.
Because man, oh man, let me tell you, in the investment world, I come across these guys who, heavy wallet, you know what I mean? They got heavy
Heavy
wallet,
wallet
heavy assets, and they're like, I don't need no credit until you do,
until you do. Yeah.
until you do, you know?
I get it all
So
the
I'm
time, especially on the conventional side and stuff like that. Another issue that we come up with a lot of people is they watch all these videos and write off your car, write off this, write off that.
right off the
And
G
then they
Wagon,
come
just go get a G Wagon.
and get a G-Wagon, right? Go get a jet, write it off. It's a write-off. And then they'll come to buy a property and their tax return shows $12,000 income from the year. And it's
Yeah,
like, what do you want me to
yeah.
do with this? But sometimes we could find a creative way around it. But a lot of the times, if they're doing so much of that, they're just sometimes out the ballpark where it comes to even finding something creative. But that's something that's misconstrued by a lot of people. And again, before I got into this realm, I thought so too. It's like, yeah, write this off, right? You don't have to pay taxes. But they never tell you the other side of that. You know what I mean? And that's where a lot of people get misled.
So be careful, people. Don't engage in so many write-offs that you write yourself off from getting a mortgage. be,
Exactly.
be mindful of that, right? Be mindful. I mean, I'll tell you
Exactly.
what, it brings me back to when I was buying my first house, and I've always been self-employed, right? So same thing with the 1099 income, you got a lot of write-offs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember working with a loan officer, and he was like, yo, man, your income is showing as X. And we've got to figure out how to address this, because we need you to be at a certain number to qualify for this mortgage. So in
Yeah.
essence, taking that to my accountant translated and said, look, you're going to have to pay a pound of flesh to the IRS in New York State as a result of increasing your income for the
Income.
sake of qualifying for this mortgage, right? And so it was one of those things where it's like, well, listen, I need a house to place my family in, right? I had a young, growing family at that time. Hey, this is America. I got to pay my fair share, and
You got to
uh, and
figure it
and
out.
that's what I had to do, right? So, but after we obtained the mortgage, it's back to write-off land,
Yep.
back to G wagons and Cadillac Escalades, and I didn't do none of that stuff. By the way, I got plenty of write-offs with my kids, plenty.
Yeah. How is it
Yeah.
out there, man? New York, Long Island. I know the pricing is crazy. Like currently, my daughter's looking for a place to rent, and I'm just like, she's sending me properties and telling me, and I'm like, $3,000 for one bedroom. It's insane.
You like
think
this,
it's
man.
just as hard to purchase out there because of the prices as well, right?
It's very hard to purchase out here on Long Island. My wife recently helped a client with a single family purchase not too far from us. And the house was only like, I think the house was like 650,000, right? And I mean, from a mortgage perspective, right? FHA wise, quick math or something like that. 3.5% down is the minimum, something like that.
Yeah.
All right. So at a 650 purchase price, 3.5% down shakes out to be about 22,750, right? 22,750 bucks, right? Then you've got the title. Then you've got the attorney. You got all this stuff that you have to deal with. So that 22,750 quickly jumps to like 40,
45, yep.
45, right? Something like that, quickly, right? Then the bank wants to see reserves. They want to see that you have the capacity.
3 to 6 months sometimes.
Right. And they want to see all this. I mean, granted, if you don't got 6 months reserves to pay the mortgage, how are you going to carry it for 30 years, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So in that scenario, that buyer put down a total of like 200 and something change. And I think the only reason they won that deal is because the seller of the property was a school teacher and their school teacher. It was one of those, like, how do you call it? We from the same gang, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
Yeah, and on Long Island, it is challenging, but you know what? It's a lot easier than trying to buy a property in Brooklyn.
I could imagine.
Right? Yeah.
Like I told my daughter, she come out here, $3,000. She's living good. You know what I mean? On a rental, but at that point, you might as well purchase.
Right.
You know.
I tell people like this, man. There's creative ways to get into properties here in the market where I'm at. There's creative ways to go about it, right? You could find a distressed property in a neighborhood you want to live in, because you can't do nothing about the neighborhood. The school district is a school district. The school district is a school district. The highways ain't gonna move for you. None of that stuff's gonna move for you. The only thing you really have control over is the location of the house based on inventory and your purchase price. So I would tell people, find a property in a neighborhood that you want to be in, but it needs some work.
Yeah.
So that this way you could literally add the value to it.
Yeah, force equity into it.
Yeah, you could force depreciation, force equity into it. You can approach it that way, right? I've seen people do some creative stuff, man. I've seen people buy a property, fix it, and then refinance their way into it out of the hard money loan as a primary residence, right? There's some nuances involved. I don't want anybody to watch this and then all of a sudden,
hit the
all
wall.
Of a sudden,
yeah.
That's the play. There's some nuances involved, strictly for live men, not for freshmen. That approach, but it can be done. But Long Island, man, I've been here a long time, and it's hard for me to. I flirted with Georgia. I flirted with Georgia. Hey, you move down there, the Carolinas. Man, everything is like 45 minutes to an hour away.
Yeah, it depends. I'm not gonna lie. I think our best move was Pennsylvania. And we're not in an area where everything's 45 minutes away. We're in a city. It's a small city, but everything is here. Everything is local. It's not bad. And when we came here, the pricing was ridiculous. Like, you wouldn't believe
what we got. Y'all came pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID.
So you should be paid off by now. You shouldn't even have a mortgage.
Listen, what we paid $675 for after closing costs said and done is right now appraised at $250.
Man, do you know what kind of portfolio you could build if you don't have the hurdle of having to pay a mortgage every month?
Yeah. God exactly. And then the crazy part is when I got out here, so we got out here, we were pretty stable. Our finances were okay, but we used a lot to get settled out here. Sure. So I wasn't able to really jump into the next property, jump into another property. But what I was doing was I was coming back home to Long Island. Anybody that would take it, yo, listen, this, and everybody was looking at me like I had 3 heads on. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, listen, the property's here. You could do this, you could do that. You know, one of the guys that I grew up with, he jumped on board, and we helped him purchase a building not too far from my house, which had a laundromat, and other side, which went to a deli, which, we all went in, we got that thing moving. And he was probably the only person that sat there, and he basically was like, yo, listen, just show me and we'll figure it out. So he was like the only person to really jump out the window. And I probably showed that building and laid down the plan that I saw, and had to like at least 6, 7 other people that just looked at me like crazy. And then now everybody's like, yo, is it? I'm like, you're not going to, now everybody's wanting to come up here and get properties at the prices it was back then. And I'm like,
right,
that time has passed. You know what I mean? Like, this is the prices now. What they said, yesterday's price is not today's price.
That's right. That's right. So to speak on that, man, you can't force somebody to take advantage of an opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are plenty of opportunities that I've been presented in my life that other people had access to those same opportunities and they did nothing with, right? And I took advantage of the opportunity and was able to provide a lifestyle for my family, right? So
exactly,
I would say to you that, that doesn't take away from the necessity of sharing the message or sharing a good opportunity, right?
Of course not.
You share the opportunity, and the people who are ready for it will take the actions necessary to take advantage of the opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, don't find yourself frustrated where you feel like, yo, man, am I tripping? Because I'm telling people about this opportunity. I see it, right? I get it. And you're telling people that you love and respect, that you probably speak to on a regular basis, and it's just not clicking for them.
Yeah.
There's nothing you could do about it.
It just led me into different crowds, into, different clubs, different groups of people, which elevated myself. So I met great investors that I partnered up with, or helped. Like I said, I helped a lot of people build their portfolio, and I learned along the way. So everything works out the way it's supposed to work out. You know what I mean? But
Indeed.
I'm always here. I'm always anybody that wants to learn or interested in trying to invest out here. Like, I have an open ear, any opportunity. I'm more than happy to share with people and bring people in. But again, I'm past the point of dragging people by their arm or sitting there jumping up and down the way. You know what I mean? It's past that. You know what I mean? It's like, if you want to, you got to show a lot more interest than the other way around. So that's where I'm at with it now. But again, it's like, I still, like you said, I love to give out the information and show people, and you start running yourself, then, I have no problem helping you along the way. So that's been a big thing.
So in the market where you at, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted to buy a single family distressed property, what are my expectations like? What am I looking at? Single family, I'm talking like a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house. What am I looking at?
So right now, if we were talking back then, we was getting them for 25, 35, 50 on the high, put another 20, 30, so maybe even 50 into it, and then maybe selling it for 200, 150 to 200.
That's yesterday's price. That's yesterday's price.
Yeah. Right now,
today's price.
Like right now, you might find a distressed property for 40, 50. Like, my partner came across something great, which she was gracious enough to allow me to come on board, and everybody made a pretty penny on that. And that cost like 50, but that's a rare find nowadays. So you're looking more, maybe double of what it used to be, maybe 60, 75, maybe even 80, for a property that you're still going to probably need to put another 50, 60 into it, which is still okay. A single family, a 3-2 single family here, and we're in Northeast Pennsylvania, more in the Wilkes-Barre area. You know what I mean? This is not like the Poconos where sometimes the houses are a lot more. You probably a single family 3-2, a decent one, you can probably get 200. From 160 to 200 on ARV on it.
Okay, and now keep in mind, right? We're in September, and values have pulled back a little bit. You're talking, so ARVs are still at that number, that 160 to 200, you're saying?
Yeah, yeah. I'll say 160 to 200 for a 3-2, 3-bed, 2-bath. As long as your rollout and everything is decent, it's not makeup on shit. You know what I mean?
You got to have some decent finishes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not painting the doorknob white and the locks white and
Oh, listen, man, I've seen
the
it
light
all out
switches.
here. I've seen it all out here. I've seen it all.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
people just, oh my God, like you walk into places and you're like, what the hell did they do here? Talking about the person that bought that distressed property and supposedly
Reimagine.
rehabbed it,
Yeah.
but it's like, you know what I mean? They
Or they
go in
did
a
a bad
super
job
cheap,
rehabbing it. Yeah. They did a bad job rehabbing it. Yeah. Well,
terrible job, and then want top dollar.
right. Well,
So you get that a lot. And another thing that, I like to tell investors when they come out here, and I've had so many investors fall into that category where they end up hurting themselves because they come out here. And like I said in the beginning, we could go to the auction and get a property for 30, 40. Now that same property that I'm looking at, I'm like, maybe I'll give 60 for this one. These guys are paying 120, 125 for it. You're
yeah.
already way over. And then
Yeah.
putting another 100 into it, right? And then coming to us as a realtor expecting to get 300 for the property. And I'm like, there's
Right.
nothing selling out here for that. It's not even going to appraise. You know what I mean? And then they're looking at you as a realtor like you're crazy. Like, yo, why you can't sell my house?
Right.
I mean, I'm like, you're priced way out the market. It's never going to go nowhere. But
Yeah.
that's the
I tell
lack
you
of
what.
understanding and listening. They have that New York, like this would sell for this in New York, so it should sell for something like this here. But it doesn't work like that. And that's an issue that I've been coming across with a lot of investors out here.
Yeah. So here's a quick tip on that. Right. A quick tip on that is your lender. Right. Your lender is going to use a nationally recognized appraiser to form the basis of the loan that you're requesting, right? So, in other words, you have what you believe the property is worth today. You have the rehab that you plan on adding as far as the value is concerned. And then you have the end value, right? The as built valuation, or ARV, as everybody knows it, right? After repair value. And so that is going to be an appraisal that that you should pay for. A lot of people, those investors are most likely buying all cash. And what hurts them when they buy all cash is that they don't have the due diligence and the conservative approach of a lender who hires a third party appraiser that's
Praiser.
licensed, that's nationally recognized, to backstop this value that you're saying that this property is going to be worth after you're done adding all these renovations to it, right?
Yeah.
So that is a critical error on the part of newbie investors, where they're operating with all cash. So they think, I'm just going to step in, I'm going to buy this all cash, and I'm going to approach it this way. Because what winds up happening is, if you buy wrong, right? If you buy wrong, it ain't going to burr right.
Exactly.
Right. And so burr, a lot of people talk about the burr strategy, but if you bought it wrong, it's all going to show up when you go to refinance it anyway.
It's going to refine it. And that's another big one that I get, is everybody jumping on the burr strategy, burr this, burr that. But they buy, they rehab, and then they want to come to me as a lender to refinance. But we go back to the same thing. You haven't been paying taxes.
Right.
You know
well, they
what I
want
mean?
an interest only loan. What happened is they want an interest only loan. That's probably, or they bought it cash and they haven't been paying taxes. And so once it gets past the 12-month mark, that is where, because taxes are typically paid on a biannual basis when you're talking about real estate.
Yeah.
So once it gets past that point, now you're delinquent.
Yeah. But it's not even that. Just on that aspect is like a lot of investors I deal with, a lot of them are contractors themselves. They're writing off everything. So when it comes down to putting a loan or refinancing on a house, putting a mortgage on a house after they finish repairing it, they don't have the supported income, you know what I mean, to support that
Tell them they
loan.
gotta go DSCR. No. Just tell them right from the rip. Say, hey, listen, you bought this property, we're gonna list it or whatever have you, and it's not getting any bites, and you want to refinance it. Your only option is a DSCR loan, because you don't have your taxes in order, because you don't have your finances in order, because your debt to income is not going to qualify for conventional financing. So I would just, in terms of managing their expectations, DSCR loan all day long. You'll save yourself a headache. You won't have to stress yourself out dealing with conventional underwriting, because at the end of the day, if it's an investment property, it's an investment property. And yes, I get it. They want to go and they want to pursue a conventional mortgage, because conventional mortgages are typically lower interest than a DSCR
interest rate and the price. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. But, you
got to go with, if you're not educated and prepared and going into it with a plan, then you got to take what's left on the table. A lot of people don't understand that.
Officer, educate them. You know what I'm saying? You'll educate them on that type of stuff. And I spend the time educating. Like I do a lot of webinars, right? Just educating on the loan programs, because the loan program, things change in the market, because real estate is ever evolving, right? I always tell people the ground is like moving underneath your feet when it comes to real estate. So you got to constantly educate investors on new loan programs that are out there. Like when I first got started, there was, somebody want to do new construction, you had to have 3 deals of experience to do new construction. I don't have that constraint anymore. If you're brand new out the game and you find a piece of land in Pennsylvania in your neck of the woods and they want to do new construction, as long as they permit architectural design and vertical ready, we can get them close. Yeah.
Definitely. So I know you deal with a lot of lenders and everything. You have any insight or tips for people, whether out there or anywhere, looking to buy their first time, or looking to buy that forever home, or their first house that they're moving in to start their family? Do you come across a lot of those, or you just more strictly investors?
I work predominantly with investors, but if I had to give a tip, right? If I had to give a tip, I would say to buy something that's distressed in the neighborhood that you want to live in, because you could fix that. You can go to Home Depot or Lowe's or any of these other, and again, those are publicly traded companies. I gotta say that too, right? So if you're gonna go and you're gonna do that, make sure you grab some of those stocks, because that's just a good operating principle if you want to build wealth by owning where you shop, right? Buy a distressed property in the neighborhood that you want to live in. Fix it the way you want to fix it.
Yeah.
It appraises for what you thought it was going to appraise for, because you're working with a licensed appraiser, nationally recognized, hired by the lender. You're a real estate professional, right? You, of course, in that neck of the woods. Your real estate professional will help you to ascertain your ARVs and things of that sort, right? So for those of you watching this, you should trust the professionals that you're hiring, right? You should vet what they're saying. But you should trust that the professionals have the capacity to help you to meet your goals. So again, buy property in an area that you want to live in. Fix it the way you want to fix it, and then get in touch with Guy or myself, so we can help you in terms of making that your forever home, if that's the direction that you want to go. That's a creative way to approach it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think education is number one, is knowing your DTI and knowing what you need your credit to be at. I think a lot of stuff when I deal with first time home buyers or people is they have too much on their credit. They have so much and their DTI is just totally off. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
One thing that I always tell people, and I'm like, listen, man, if you have to, just get that job, man. That W-2, that W-2 employment goes a long way. Even if you have to have a W-2 job.
It makes life easier. On your side of the aisle, in terms of the licensed MLO, it makes life so much easier. Yeah, W-2 basis. I didn't understand that until I got into the business of mortgages. Once I got in.
Me neither. Yeah. And now it's coming across the table, and I'm like, I have a friend now, he makes a lot of money, and he just started working a regular job just for the W-2, and the insurance. Yes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I'm like, that's the way to go. And he got them 2 years in, and now he's ready to purchase, and he purchased. Now he's already on his second house. You know what I mean? So, and he's Airbnb-ing them. and he's doing great. He's on his second
Also another
Airbnb
publicly
property.
traded company, Airbnb, ticker symbol ABNB, also another publicly traded company. And so you see how it all is intertwined and connected. You see that?
Definitely. So, we cover little stocks, a little bit of real estate and everything like that. I know there's like a few other areas of, just wealth building and different things. One thing that you brought to my attention at one point, which I feel nobody really understands and knows about, is the life insurance. I think just from talking to you and Rich is his name, right? Was it
Yeah,
Rich that we
yeah,
was
yeah.
talking to?
Yeah, that's my MD. That's my
Yeah.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah. So between talking to you guys, I just opened my eyes a lot. And I think that's also I feel anybody trying to build wealth or, generational wealth for that stage is it's definitely a great tool to have under your belt, you know.
Absolutely.
And I think that's something maybe either Rich should get somebody on here with us to really break down and educate people on that, because so many people do not understand it. And again, it's another one of those things that you log on and you see 110 different YouTube videos telling you all the wrong ways to do something. You know what I mean? So I think that's something else to touch base on.
I agree. I will tell you that to speak to the social media clips that speak to the strategy as far as life insurance is concerned, at the end of the day, the basis of life insurance is the replacement of the breadwinner, in essence, right? You got husband and wife, whatever have you, whoever's winning the bread, whoever's bringing it home, that particular person, or maybe even both of them together equally, are responsible for the financial resources of their family. And so if the worst were to happen, God forbid, there needs to be, I like to call it a golden parachute, is what I call it, right?
Mm.
There needs to be a golden parachute in place because, if you've got a young family, you're financially responsible for them until they can become young, productive, independent adults, right? So that being said, you've got to calculate, you're working with a good, I wouldn't even call it a life insurance agent. I'd call it a life insurance advisor, right? Somebody
Advisor.
that can take your situation and come up with a unique solution that works for you and your situation. And you can't get that off of an Instagram post. I think that is the thing that's doing it, the whole industry a disservice, is that somebody will watch a 30-second reel or even a 10-minute video on YouTube and think that they are now fully equipped to either self-service their own situation, right? Or try to reinvent the wheel. So I think the best piece of advice I can tell people is to come with your set of circumstances, dump it on the table like a pile of leaves, and let's dissect it together so we can figure
Go
out the
through it
best way to give you the solution that works best for you, right?
for you. Yeah.
Yeah, because the thing is
Not
like,
one
listen,
size fits all.
nah, that is not a one size fits all situation at all, man, at all. There's a lot of what ifs that you have to think through with that, right? But when you do execute and you do it, it's a beautiful thing, man, because there's laws that have been put in place to make this thing work efficiently for you. You just have to know how to take advantage of those things. And so that's an arena that, that's also a passion of mine too, man, because listen, a lot of people don't know, right? From a wealth management perspective, there's a lot of our favorite celebrities and artists that have all of their assets, their intellectual property, all of it inside of a life insurance policy, like
I see. Yep.
literally wrapped inside the life insurance policy. Right. And that's for tax planning purposes, right? That's for continuity, that's for succession planning, retirement, and tax saving strategies. There's a whole host of things that people are doing this for. But listen, man, one of your favorite rappers, man, got his whole portfolio. I think I have a relationship with one of his attorneys, and that's how I found out, because I was talking to him about the concept, and he was like, "Oh, so and so's got this." I said, "What?" And so, why would you have something like this? Well, if somebody goes after you civilly, they sue you, right? Those assets within the policy are creditor protected. Yeah, if you have a private investment in that particular vehicle and you have a liquidity event by way of an IPO, right? Let's say, for instance, this is for more. I would say this is for more for accredited investors. Let's say somebody puts $1 million into a pre-IPO, right? Like Klarna. Klarna is about to go public, right? So they had $1 million in Klarna, and now the company's going to go public. Under normal circumstances, they would have that liquidity event. Klarna would go public. That million would turn to $5-10 million, something like that. Great. Listen, they sending screenshots to their friends, all that stuff. You know, the whole kit and caboodle. Yo, we already planning our vacations, and guess who else is clapping it up with you? The IRS. That's right. They're like, yes, you did it.
Thank you. Thank you, partner.
That's it. You did it. So there's ways to use life insurance, or one of the benefits. See, you got to be careful how you say.
You know what it is? Yeah, and the big thing with everybody is this. What they call it? The Rockefeller plan, where everybody feels that, okay, I'm gonna get life insurance and be my own bank and loan money to myself, and you know, which I had to learn. It's not that it's a impossible situation, but there's a lot of different parts to the machine that, you know, and people just jump into it not knowing everything, and like you said, thinking they could do it themselves or do it a certain way, and it just doesn't work out the way it's supposed to, the way it looks like on TV.
Yeah. But I think culturally, life insurance is something that we definitely need to improve upon in the community. I've had conversations where people be like, I'm not leaving her nothing. I'm like, whoa, what do you mean? Like, whoa. There's ways to approach that too, if that's your position, right? That's not my position, but if that's your position, if that's your approach and how if that's the dynamic of your relationship, hey, that's the dynamic of your relationship. But if you do have children that you're responsible for, after you're no longer here, there are ways to go about. There are systems and strategies that you can put into place.
And why not do it? You know, like one of my favorite sayings is, have them start from your shoulders, not from the ground. You know what I mean? Give them that extra boost.
Right. And speaking of all this, man, this is probably, you know, just for the timing of this is probably the most important time to be having this conversation, because we're in the great wealth transfer, right? I'm sure you're hearing this term all over the place. People talk about, like, you know, generationally, people are going to be leaving a lot of assets behind.
Yeah.
Right. So that succession planning, that estate planning piece, that's a conversation that needs to happen on a regular basis. Because the baton is going to pass, right? Whether by way of property or stocks or cash and regular checking accounts or whatever have you, business interests. The baton's going to pass, but you want to make sure you're doing it efficiently, so you're not losing 30, 40, 50% of that to taxes, right? Or penalties or things of that sort, you know. Or let's say you did it all right, but you didn't have plans in place to stop the bickering, because there's a lot of family bickering that happens too. This person feels they were entitled to that. That person feels they weren't.
Yeah.
So there's that planning that has to happen. So yeah, I'm gonna holler at my good buddy Rich. You know,
I think that'll be a great conversation to have on here. Shed some clarity, you know, also open my eyes to some more stuff. It's a time right now where so much is changing, and we're moving at such a rapid pace. And honestly, and I see it all the time, a lot of people are getting left behind. A lot of people are not prepared. Like, a lot of people aren't investing. A lot of people aren't doing the right thing. And it's going to be a big split, you know, between people, and a lot of people getting left behind. And asset protection, all of that, those are all great things to really, like they said, like, AI is coming to take so many people's jobs. Right now, I make sure my kids really learn a lot of stuff, because to me, I don't see it as taking people's jobs. I see it as more as weeding people out. You know what I mean?
I feel like it's improving efficiency though, man.
Yes.
You know, like, one of my mentors, man, in frustration, I was with him one day and he was like, man, Palmieri, it's so hard to find people that actually know how to do their job.
That's a fact.
Yo, somebody's hired to do something. They got a job description to do and they can't execute, right? Or there's gatekeeping. You know what I'm saying? Like I had taken my son, shout out to him, man. If he sees this episode or when he sees this episode, shout out to you, son. He just passed his life insurance exam as well. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was just literally the other day. So now I tell him, I'm like, yo, you got 2 rings now. You know what I'm saying? Because he's property and casualty insurance licensed too. So he heads up that family agency I was telling you about, right?
Yeah.
But like, I was on the road with him to Atlantic City for a
I seen you guys were taking a few trips, Atlantic City, Philly.
Yo, dude, in Atlantic City, I'm gonna get back to what I was talking about, but I had to tell you about this, man. So me and him outside, we left dinner, we had a nice dinner, and we're walking on the boardwalk. I think that is the boardwalk, right? The strip. Mm-hmm. So I looked to my left, and right by Oceans, man, there used to be a parking lot there. They turned that into an outdoor gym. Like, it's just, it is fire. It is outdoor gym, outdoor full basketball court, outdoor full volleyball court, outdoor music stage, outdoor bar.
It's like California.
Yo, fire. I'm looking at this thing, I'm like, and it was late too. Man, they had little tape blocking it off. Man, I jumped over there, got a set in, man, got some workout in, man. I had to. I was like, yo,
right.
This is fire. This is just fire. But yeah, but back to what I was saying, man, about heading down to AC. When I do loans for people, there's a need for insurance, right? Property and casualty insurance, mortgage protection insurance, things of that sort. So, I'm giving the business naturally. I'm giving the business to my son, right? Mm-hmm. And for the agency he was working for at the time, they just, I guess they were not accustomed to working with investment properties, right? They're more suited for the general public, right? Regular homeowners policy, regular car insurance policy, things of that sort. So the communication wasn't there. There was big gaps in communication. And as a private money lender, you got to move with speed. You know what I mean? So I can't have an insurance underwriter holding up my file because they don't really understand the nuances of the insurance requirements from us as a lender. So I told him, I'm like, yo, man, you got your licenses now? If I was your age, just getting these licenses, somebody would have told me, yeah, man, that's just the way it is. You gotta earn your stripes, that sort of thing. This is just what you have to deal with. But yo, dude, in the AI world, I'm like, yo, bro, take this. We're on the highway. I'm prompting the AI. Mm-hmm. Yo, you should have seen his eyeballs. He was like, what? I said, yo, ain't no gatekeeping over here no more. We got access to all the information now. Listen. Now it's just up to you to execute. Here it is, step by step. Here's the roadmap. Here's what you got to do, right? Shooting at a high level now.
Now, yeah.
Because he's got the AI. So I'm speaking to that from a position of efficiency. I'm not afraid of AI because, in fact, I'm celebrating the AI because the AI is not going to criticize me, right? It's not going to feel like, man, P's asking too many questions. Yo, this is getting annoying at this point. You know what I mean? I ain't got time for this. Yo, I got another call coming in. No, the AI is going to be ready and willing.
Listen.
And it's sift through the nonsense.
I sit there. I run everything through AI. A lot of just figuring out equipment to use. And I talk to AI like it's a person. I'll give it a whole 2-page description and boom, send it out. Like you already see some of the stuff my brother and I are doing with the AI. You know what I mean? And it's just like I said, it's for those people that were not really creative and was getting by on shortcuts, they're going to get left behind. You know what I mean? Because you got to really have that creativity and understanding and knowing how. So for others, it's a tool, like you said, and a necessary tool. And also, an investment vehicle as well. Because there's like so much going on in the realm and everything that it's just, it's so many different ways to make a dollar using AI or using it as a tool. And I think a lot of people are demonizing it without even trying it, at least. You know what I mean? And there's just between Chat GPT and the Gemini, there's just some amazing things that you could do to just take what you're doing and bring it to another level. You know what I mean? And that's basically why I'm adamantly on AI, figuring out different things, editing videos with AI, doing stuff that would usually take me hours to do. I'm doing it like this because I already know what I want. So I know what it should look like and what to tell the AI to do and how to troubleshoot and fix it when it doesn't come out right. Because in the beginning, it was like, I told you to do it this. It's like going back and forth. So that's another thing is the learning curve is also learning how to prompt it the right way and take your creativity and, talk to it so that it brings you exactly what you're looking for. So again, I agree with you. I don't see it taking over. I see it as being a very necessary tool. Like I said, we got some great stuff we about to start doing with AI too.
Yeah, man. Fam, you gotta, I tell people like this, right? Don't become obsolete, right? Don't become a VCR in the streaming world.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand? Like if technology is moving, you have to move with it, right? Just because you feel a certain way doesn't mean that the world is going to stop to coddle you. If the AI is here, it's here. I imagine that AI in its current iteration was probably born out of frustration. You know how many, you know how many people that company owners have hired and fired because this person talked a good game and said they could do X, Y, and Z,
And they couldn't.
and then come to find out they got this person on the payroll and they do they just give a donut like nothing. No, man, no. So like with the AI, man, I'm all for it. I work with it constantly all the time. It has made life a lot smoother and a lot easier for me.
Mm-hmm.
There's some things that I'm working on putting in place, and it's like I said from the jump, man. Always a student, always willing to learn.
Exactly.
Never operating from a position of fear, because at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, we're all unique, right? And our thoughts and our gifts, and so a tool like AI can definitely enhance some of the ideas and strategies that you have in your own mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I actually started working on a ebook or a pamphlet, AI for a real estate agent that hustles. So it's already done, ready to package that up. Next step is maybe even putting a course behind it.
Wait. What you mean hustle, man? Because when there's different meanings behind the word hustle, right? You know what I'm saying? And I know you from the mud, you know what I'm saying? So like I know you from the mud. So when you say hustle, I immediately flash back to Mayflower days, you know what I'm saying? Like you say hustle, man. You gotta be
It's a
specific
bad
when you say hustle.
hustle could in any
Into it.
aspect of it. It's a person that's willing to go above and beyond in what they're doing, that's willing to use the environment and the things around them to make their situation better. There's
Got it.
people that they sit there and do the minimal and expect everything to come to them. And
I
life,
love those
nothing
kind
really
of people.
works that way.
I love those kind of people that do the least. You open more of the market share for me.
Yep. I hear
Right?
you.
No, keep doing the least. Listen, keep doing the least, and the guys that do the most will get the most. What it is, right? This is a merit-based system. You put in
Exactly.
more, you get more.
That's what it is. That's what it is. You gotta do something to get all that good money, right?
Indeed. That's a fact. That's a fact.
Word. But yeah, we definitely like an hour or something in. We
Yes,
could
sir.
pretty much close out. You got anything you want to end with? Any last words? Well, wait. Let's not say last words. I don't like that
Yeah.
terminology.
I would just say, man, definitely own where you shop, right? That's like definitely at the forefront of my mind. Right.
Always.
But if you feel like you've got some questions or something that you need something more at depth in terms of learning, don't hesitate, man. Don't hesitate. And the people that are successful in any of their fields, their respective fields, I find that they're always willing to share information. You know what I'm saying? They
Mm-hmm.
don't feel threatened by somebody else asking for information or how something, how you do something or whatever have you. One of the greatest things my brother always taught me was, don't ever hate on nobody. Always don't ever hate on nobody. Just ask them how. If
Yeah.
you see something, just ask them how. And that's gotten me far because when I ask somebody how, more often than not, it's just a matter of do I have the time and attention to listen to how. They're always willing to give game. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the underlying reason we got together to do this because, I'm not saying I got all the game, but I may have some game that may be beneficial to you.
Exactly. I know for me, it's one thing I recently saw. I think it was like an Instagram post, and it was like slow motion, and it showed a pillow fighting league, and it was like a real league of pillow fighting, and the guy basically was like, next time you feel like your idea or what you want to do or have a passion for is absolutely stupid, just remember somebody out here created a pillow fighting league that's selling out stadiums and has sponsors. And they're showing the footage of a filled stadium, pillow fighting league, sponsors on the floor. And that really is something, because a lot of people get talked out of their greatness because of judgment and because of fear, what people will think about them, what people will say about them. And I think that's been holding back a lot of people. So that's something that I feel like if you have an idea, if you got, you got to brush off. You need to have that zero noise and follow through with what's in your mind and follow that all the way to the end, whether it's figuring out, learning how to do real estate or stocks, or taking AI and using that to build something. So I think that's a number one key to wealth building, is blocking out a lot of the noise and going with what your heart is and passion, and having the discipline and patience to follow through with it. You know what I mean?
Well said, brother. Well said.
We could sign off from there. Good Money Podcast, episode 2. We got a lot of great feedback from the first episode.
Okay.
Let's keep them rolling.
Listen, man, I'm just here. I'm happy to be here. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy to be a part of it. The feedback is always welcome and appreciated. And let's just keep dropping the message, man. That's it. Keep it good money.
Definitely. Back on soon. Stay tuned.
All right. Peace.